Hi everyone, this is Madeline with Madeline Bell Artistry. So in my last video, I created a post where I made the puddle pearl paint, and that's it right there. I did not add water to it. If you didn't have a chance to view that video, please check it out, because this is what's in this cup here. There's no water added, and I talked about why in that video I do that. So I had a question about, is there going to be a difference between thin and thick on the base puddle pour? And we're going to go ahead and test that theory out. So I'm going to add some water to this because there was not any before. This is the consistency before the water is added. See, it's a little bit thick for our purposes. So I've got just some distilled water in here. I'm going to go ahead and add some and stir that up and get to a certain consistency. Now, once I'm happy with the first thickness, what I'm going to do is use that and pour. And it should be enough in this cup to cover both these 5x7 canvas boards. I just used them to practice on. And the remaining, the other half, I'll just add some more water to it to make it even thicker than the first. So I'm going to go ahead and get this first batch ready. And I'll show you the consistency. Pour it, and then I'll come back after that, okay? Thanks. Okay, I'm back. There's enough water in here to bring that flow consistency where it comes right off of the stick and into the cup. It doesn't leave a mound, just wants to run right in. It's going to take half of this, clean this off really well, not to mess with our experiment. Bring this canvas over. And this one. So this is going to be our thicker and our thinner. So we're going to start here. I'm going to pour half of this on here. About as much as I think I need. Okay. That's not quite half. I'll go a little bit more. I don't want to be... Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and make this even thinner by adding more water. And I do that just adding a little at a time until I get to a consistency that I'm looking for. I'll be back with that. Okay, I'm back. So here's the consistency of the batch with the additional water. Now you'll see that it runs straight back into itself in the cup. I'm hoping you can see that. It runs right back into itself in the cup. I'm going to use this, and I might have some junk on this one. I had some stuff at the bottom of the cup, but if we do, we'll fish those out with our little tweezers. But here we go. I'm going to pour this in here. So it's a lot more fluid. Oh, I just saw that gunk. Lots of gunk. Oh, lots of gunk. It's okay. That's what these are for. I realized my cup wasn't clean. This is just an experiment, so I just kind of grabbed stuff as I had them. But that's okay. We'll just get those out of there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is stretch these out. You see it's a lot, doesn't flow as easy. I don't have anything on there. Just gonna go ahead and get that canvas covered. You want that base. You don't want a puddle of this base on there. You do want to have it covering the canvas and have it thin. And these are just some canvas boards for practicing. And I would suggest doing that. I paint on very large canvases, and these are my little planning canvases. My smaller of the planning canvases. I sometimes have larger planning canvases that I use over and over again, but these sometimes they come out so well. I could hang these up and put them in my bathroom, my guest bedroom. It's kind of nice to have them around on my desk at work. They're small enough to kind of put everywhere. I actually do have some on my website that I'll sell as well. So I'm just going and getting that excess off of the canvas at the moment. Creating that really thin like base layer, okay? Gonna do the same with this one. You'll see how fast this one flows. Got a lot of gunk in there, which I'm gonna be pushing out. So I see them. That's okay. You know, you get stuff in there, you just get it out. Part of the process sometimes. Okay, it's flowing really easily. Just getting it back. And I have a little bit left over in case I want to throw some embellishment. So that's just going to be a top layer. So it's not going to affect the experiment if I use the white on both, because that's just going to be for effects on top. So the question is, if the base was thinner or thicker, do we get different results? So this one has definitely more water in it. Help that along. Okay, just letting that flow and drip. See, it's dripping quite a bit. It's got a lot more flow than the other one has. Oh my goodness, these drips, these gunks in my canvases. Oh. Okay. Now, I'm going to be using the same paints on both. And I'm not going to manipulate those in any way. I'm going to keep them the same consistency for both to see if it has, what effect, if any, it has. So I'm going to wipe my hands a little bit. I'm going to try to keep the same amount of paint on both, but you know, who knows. So this is just a gold. I'm not even sure whose it is. Deco Art with a little bit of golden iridescent. I'm just going to put some on the stick and just put some on the canvas. I may do that twice. Okay. Do twice to start off with. Try to keep it in the same area. I'm going to try to tilt it the same way. I'm going to try to keep it as uniform as possible. Let's just go for another little bit. Okay, another little bit here. That has a little bit more. Okay, that is about as close as I can get it without actually measuring it. Then I have some blues here. I think this is a, I'm not quite sure. This is a mixture of blues that I get off my canvas. I mean, not my canvas, I'm sorry, my mat. This is a little thick. See how gloopy that is? I said I wasn't gonna change it, but I have to change this one. This is way too thin. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some water to that, loosen that up. But you know, they're gonna be the same on both the canvases, so that'll be okay. I just grabbed some extra paints that I had lying around for this experiment. If I was experimenting for a larger piece, I would have my batches of paints that I plan on using on my larger pieces, and I'll be using those on the test canvas. And I just make a little extra so I can test my concept first. That way, when I do go to my large piece, I'm actually using the same exact paint that I did on my test pieces. The fluid consistency, the color is not going to change from my test canvas. So that's really important to do if you're going to do some test pieces. This could be a little bit more fluid. I'm just going to bring it down here. Make it easier. I don't want to drip it on the canvas. I'll speed this up until this one's ready. Okay, I'm back. This is now ready. Just falling right into itself. Again, I'm going to do the same thing right over the gold. Just like 2 of them maybe. Just going to throw them on there haphazardly. Just going to do 2. Because I have this other color. Just like a seafoam type green. I'm not sure the name of it. Again, this is a mixture of leftover paints. It's not new. I think it's Verdilian. I can never say the name of that paint. I've said that before in my other videos. I cannot say that. Okay, here's the thinness of that one. It's very thin. I'm gonna do, let's see how many on each. Probably not the greatest contrast, but that's okay. We're just kind of experimenting. Just a couple there. All right, I did a little splash. Can always clean those up. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna tilt it this way and tilt it that way on both of them and just see what we get. I may go around in a circle first. So this one was the thicker base. Just gonna go around in a circle first just to stretch the pattern out a little bit before I go off the canvas, and I'll go off your way. I'll turn this around. Just gonna go straight off the canvas. Gonna anchor that color in. Again, bring it back. Turn this around again so you can see. And go back your way and just give that a good stretch. Now you'll see we have some resistance already with that white because it is thick. But that doesn't mean it's not going to make a beautiful painting, you know? It's okay. Just going to get it as far as I can. Get that stretched out, and I'll speed this up maybe, I don't know. Well, depends on how long it takes. Just bringing the paint back to the center and try to go out that way. Keeping the focal point low, the bottom third of the canvas. And see what happens. Now, mind you, with these satin enamel, a lot of the reaction will come with it reacting with the water and the other paints in it. So water is important. So I'm not sure we're going to get results that we hope to get with this, but you know, who knows? It's very hard to move, as you can see. It is trying to stretch and create its inches. I see one little cell right there. But it is very, 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 very difficult to work with. So I'm going to leave that one right there. Go to the thinner one, turn this around. Ooh. Again, that circular motion. Do one more time, then I'll go off your end. Okay, there it goes. See that difference in motion right there. I find these smaller canvases sometimes harder to hold. You know, they're smaller. They're so narrow. You get that anchored on the corner really well. And bring that back in towards me, and I'll turn it around. Okay. Now towards the other end. Get that. Now that paint on top is the same thickness as it was in the other, right? And the difference is the flow of the underneath. It's still there. you'll see we're having a lot less resistance with it. Getting that anchored in right there. Bring it in a little bit. Try to calm down that corner. See, it really wants to flow now. So you can even go even thinner than what I probably did. It's probably okay. And if you look at the other one while this one's flowing, it's already trying to develop some pearl, not much. So what's happening, I think, I'm no scientist. Anybody that knows the science behind this, if they would comment if I'm incorrect, please just be nice. The paints on the top are not thin enough probably, and the base, they're working with each other or against each other, right? So there's a balance that you'll have to test with what works for you and what you have. Sometimes it's just adding a little bit more water. You can get the results that you're looking for. I'm getting resistance now here. My hands are all dirty. Trying to help that along some. I'll bring that back. I need to get a little bit of flow here. Just a little bit, because it's just a test canvas, but I still want it to look okay. And I'm just going to bring it back in. And see what we get. So you can already see that the difference in the base is definitely a difference, right? On what we're creating here. So I'm going to stop right there. Turn this one around as well, so it's the same. So there's the different reactions right there. So then it's like, you know what am I looking for? This one, I'm losing a lot of the color because the satin enamel really wants to get in there. And this one right here, I'm not getting enough of the pearl that I like to see. But I am getting some good reaction. So what I probably do to troubleshoot this is thin out that top layer a little bit more with more water. In the meantime, if I like using the thick and being in more control, you can take the pearl that you have and just add it on there where you think it should go. For example. And then with this one was a little overstretched. You can see my pearls a little overstretched. And as I troubleshoot the formula, like I said in my other video, that even though I follow the same, I'm still using a different batch, right? I go to the store and I'm buying a new gallon, half gallon, quart, whatever. And it could be off just by a little. I mean, I hope not, but it could be anything. It could be the temperature in the room when I made it, you know. It is chemistry, so got a lot of factors into play. And maybe it's not the batch, you know. I'm not going to say that Bears did something wrong. Definitely was me. But, you know, you can go ahead and play with these. If you wanted to just have it to where it's doing its own thing on its own, and you're feeling like, I don't want to go through all this, I just want it to just create, and then maybe work it from there, I want more, then you just go ahead and add more of the satin enamel to the white, and it will really take over. But throw that statement with caution in the wind, because add a little at a time, because if you add too much, you're not going to be able to reverse that batch. Well, you may be able to, but it's going to be very, very, very difficult. So you want to kind of keep that in mind if you're going to add some more satin enamel. Add a little bit, thin it out some more with some more water, and then keep in mind your ratios as you do a little small cup like this at a time, so you can do it to your larger batch. Because if you add too much, it's just going to be impossible to work with, because it can run amok on you pretty easily. But you see, as I'm adding it, what it's doing, even through here, I added it here. And you can kind of really make it look really beautiful. I'm being really sloppy right now for this demonstration. This is its own reaction here. This is its own reaction there. This is me placing it in myself. But you know, be creative with it and get in there, and you can take the color that's already in there. Make something beautiful. It's okay to get in on your work. It is your work. You can even add some more color. I'll show you that. Let's say I just added a little bit more blue. I don't have enough blue in there. Oh, I just messed that one up. Sorry. You can go in there. And just have fun. It's a creative process. Think about your journey, Okay, I'm gonna take this way too far because I could stay here and play and play and play all day long. But I'll do the same on the other side because we were gonna keep these kind of coherent. Yeah, just go ahead and do that here. Okay. And I think I ran some of that through there. So there it is. All right. I ran it through here a little bit, I guess. Do the same. You can do that here. You can add other colors in there. So what is the take on this? When it's thicker, the base, which is this one here, the paint that lays on top of it is going to have more of a floating surface and not sink into it to have the satin enamels take over. When it's thinner, it has more of an opportunity to really get into that satin enamels because it's going to just sink right in. And as it moves around, it's going to intermix with it more. As you can see how it intermixed with it a lot more than it did here. So just experiment. I wouldn't consider my current batch that I have here going on ready. I just made this. And this is part of the process. Every time you make a new batch, that's kind of why I make a lot at once. So once I fine tune a large batch, then I know it's ready to go with my intended purpose and my intended outcomes, and I don't have to try to recreate it over and over again. But I get not everyone can do that all the time, but each time, as long as you know how to troubleshoot it, you'll be fine. And that's pretty much how you do it. To this batch, I might add a little bit more of my satin enamel. I added, from what I added before, I won't add a lot. I'll just add just a little tiny bit. Do this experiment again and see where it leads me. And don't just need to use a palette knife, just so you know. You can also pick up with your finger and get some really beautiful color that's already there to come on up. But don't be surprised if you do this and you come back and the satin enamel took over. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that just so you can see it. And I'll have a picture of this dry results when it's done. So I just picked up some of the paint that was in there and ran it through. I'll do the same thing and pull some of the satin enamel with it. So I'll take one where I pull some satin enamel with it so you can see what that looks like. Same here. Oh, I should pull paint off of the canvas. Hold on. Okay. So there it is. I'll have these when they're ready to show at the end of this. And I'm looking at these little pull throughs. Let's see what happens if I do something. That's not really pretty, but I just want to see what that looks like. Okay, there's the experiment, and we'll come back and see what these look like when they're ready. Hi everyone, this is Madeline. So they've pretty much finished developing, so I just wanted to go ahead and bring you in. They are still wet, but I'll bring you in. So this one here now, because I'm just standing over there last time. This one here now is the thicker. This one is thinner. So go in really quick. And you'll see here where I had some, this is what I love about it, when it doesn't have a lot of satin enamels, because you're able to like manually create. Look at that, it almost looks like a beautiful flower. This is where I added the little, when I punctured it with a little bit using the palette knife, and I went ahead and put, you know, little pieces of white in there. Oh, just touched it, sorry. That's where I ran the palette knife through and added some of the satin enamels over it. I did that with my finger again. Brought up some beautiful colors, wonderful interest. My blue definitely stayed intact, and the green did as well. This was its natural, where it was coming in naturally here, you know, a little bit through there. So that's it there. You can see that base color is there to create on in a nice soft faded, it comes to a faded way. Now on the thinner side, the satin enamels really gets in there and fades out the colors quite a bit, except right in the middle where it's the thickest. That's where the actual pour was, and this is where we spilled off the canvas. You can see there. Then you can see also where I touched, you know, with the palette knife, the little circles, and I ran them through. Now, as far as running my finger through, when it's thinner, there's less control of what it is you can make, right? So again, this was the thicker. And you can create some beautiful items through there. When it's thinner and you pull it back into the paint, it really just wants to just blend in with the paint and become part of the pigment of the paint and not work with it. So you see, it does give a beautiful three-dimensional look. If you see like right through here, you know, they just stick out. It looks almost three-dimensional. It's really beautiful. There's where I put in the blue. You can see it just wants to take over because it is so thin. This is where I ran my finger through, right through there. So back here, my first initial batch, so there they are. My first initial batch, I went ahead and I scraped the top part of the canvas. I did that off camera. And I used my initial batch where that initial batch has additional satin enamel. And I also thinned out the blue. So this blue now, very, very thin. It just won't even stay on the stick at all. I didn't change the gold or the green. I just wanted to see what would happen if this blue or any color was a lot thinner. So that's what the back experiment is, using extra satin enamel and a thin paint. So you'll see here, I did the same thing, and you don't see hardly any of the blue at all. You see it right there in the corner, just a little bit, but for the most part, it just sunk and gone. I did not do any hand manipulation at all with this painting. I just stretched it. And then same over here. With this one, why it looks so different than the other is because I just stretched it more. I just stretched it a lot more. I came up, if you see, a little further up. You can see I came a little further up than I did here. So it just has more of a stretch. So I just stretched it more, but then you can see again, the blue pretty much got wiped out. Green still held up. I did a little hand manipulation there at the corner. And that was about it. So it depends on the look that you're going for. You know, there it is. Lots of stretch. minimal stretch, both these extra satin enamel. This one, the original recipe, I actually really like because you can really create a story. I mean, to me, this right here, it's just a storyboard. You know, it's just a storyboard you can create, and it just has something new every time you look at it. And they all do, you know, they really all do. This one, the colors got a lot softer. They're the same color as this, so they still match in their own way because they are the same color. And it gives a beautiful 3D effect, right? See that? The camera's really picking it up well. That's amazing. This one is a little bit more like floating on top. You know, like you can see that the satin enamel's floating on top. When you have more satin enamels, you get a lot of the pearls, but they become, you know, part of the entire painting. So again, there it is. It depends what you're looking for. Thinner base, thicker base. These two are just extra satin enamel with thin or thick. The blue was this color blue that you see here was actually also placed in there. If it's really, really thin, it's going to almost disappear. It may come out as highlights here and there, but for the most part, it may disappear. And then this is just same process as the other with the extra satin enamel, just an extra stretch. So this one you'll see, you stretch it a lot, it's going to take over your painting. See that? It's just going to want to really take over. And you may have to come back and put in extra color if you didn't want that to happen. So I'll give you an example. This one here, it really took over. When I left this painting, it was all like this, with very little dots here and there, my little pearls. And then I came back 15 minutes later, and that's what I came back to. And it's beautiful. If this is what you're going for, then that's what you're going for. This is the very first one that I did, that I actually came and got my pearls. They held up really beautifully. The formula does work. It's all just in finding what ratio you want. So I would suggest to do what I did. I took the base formula and I didn't, you know, I just started playing with it. I was like, what does it do at base? What does it do if I add a little bit more? What does it do if I add this much water? I wrote everything down, just write it all down. Some of my paintings, you know, they weren't as expected. I swiped some. Here's this one that I did that was a swipe. And it came up beautifully. And this is actually on my YouTube channel as well, where I'm like, don't give up. Because that was my first attempt. And then I wound up creating something beautiful out of it, you know, just taking a chance, right? Just taking a chance and practicing and learning. So there it is. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer as best I can. But, you know, it really is an experimentation for you to get what you want, right? And for you to work the formula, you have the base formula, and just work with it until you're happy with it. And then once you get it, oh my goodness, you're going to be creating some fantastic things that you're going to love, you know. I sound like a commercial. You're going to get some fantastic things and you're just going to love it. So if you're not loving it now, it's okay. You know, you have the base formula. You can go ahead and tweak it. So, but, you know, just bear in mind, you know, add the satin enamel to the original base formula slowly, because if not, you'll get something that is just that and only that everywhere. Unless you're looking for that and not much of anything else, you know, just bear that in mind. So there you go. I hope this helped. Yeah, have a great day. And, you know, I would love to see one of your creations. You know, maybe you can find me on one of my Instagram or my Facebook. You can contact me through there and just shoot me a message. And I would love to see what you got going on. Take care. Great day. Bye.